Welcome back to another episode of Full Disclosure with Christian Thayer. Of course, I am your host, Christian Thayer. I'm not sure exactly what episode number we're on, but I know that we are getting closer and closer to 10 every day. So that's pretty cool. Pretty sure I saw a stat out there that like the vast majority, I'm talking like 90% of podcasts fail or just stop being done after 3 episodes. So we are well past that milestone. Looks like next milestone is 100. I like to shoot for the stars in this episode, as well as kind of like the episodes moving forward, because again, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to lay these episodes out. Normally what I've been doing for the most part, especially if the topic or content is long enough to fill an entire 15-ish minute block, I'll just run with it. And that will be the entire episode. However, I have a sticky note on my arm. However, some weeks I'm not always going to have content that is going to be able to fill up the full 15 minutes. So that is going to be what we're doing today. We're sort of be breaking this episode up into 2 parts. The first one is we're going to be talking about marketing / QR codes, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to end it on, I don't want to say a satirical piece or even a humorous piece, but a Keller Williams agent caught himself in some hot water recently. And we're going to quickly talk about that, and I'm going to give you my thoughts. So let's go back to the QR codes. For those of you that have no idea what the heck a QR code is, have you been living under a rock? But secondly, those are basically the little black and white squares that you will sometimes see out and about. They're even putting them on TV nowadays so that when you're sitting around on the couch, all you have to do is pull out your phone, open up your camera app, and it'll take you to wherever it's supposed to go. So a QR code is basically a link to wherever it wants you to go, and all you have to do is take a photo of it. You don't even actually have to take a photo of it. You just have to open up your camera app nowadays on most phones, and a little notification will come down that says open link in Safari or whatever your internet of choice is. And so those are, they're great. And for those of you that don't remember, I don't even know how long ago, I'm thinking like 2011, 2012 is kind of when QR codes broke out onto the scene, and they skyrocketed in terms of popularity, but then they also skyrocketed right back down for whatever reason. It was also just very hard to access them, because at that point in time, in order to read the QR code, you actually had to have a QR code reader app. So it was just another dumb app that you had to have on your phone. And for whatever reason, I mean, I always liked the concept of QR codes back then, but for whatever reason, they just weren't executed very well, or everyone just always gave them a bad rap. But I'm like, this is kind of smart. Like, why would I want to type in a 20 to 30 character URL when I can just pull my phone out and click a few buttons and I'm exactly where I need to be? So that's that. They pretty much died for, 8 years. And then I don't know if you've noticed, but the past, 2 years or so, pretty much like right before COVID started, they were kind of trickling back into everyday life. And now, especially with COVID, and I don't know if we're in a post-COVID world, but whatever you want to call it, when we don't want to touch things, or it's just a lot easier for places to put QR codes. People have their own phones, therefore there's no touching, no contact, blah, blah, blah. So the whole point of this is, how can you use a QR code to your benefit? Well, as I mentioned, how easy they are to actually use and read. You don't have to have an app on your phone. All you need is pull out your camera and toss it over and put the QR code in the sight of the camera, and it should be able to read it. So that gives you a lot of options for what you can do with said QR codes. So for example, if you are throwing out EDDMs and you're doing postcards and all of that fun stuff, why not throw a QR code on there for whatever the postcard is? So if that postcard is a new listing, or insert whatever the heck you're doing, it's really not hard to make a QR code and slap it on there. Therefore, it's just going to be one less step in that person's day to not view whatever you're doing. Because think about it like this: if you just send them a postcard and you give them the URL to view whatever the heck they're doing. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that eventually. They're gonna slap it down on their counter, and there's a chance it's just gonna sit there for a long time, and then they're never gonna get around to it, and then it gets thrown out. Now, picture this: you put a QR code on that postcard, and they're like, oh, okay, I already have my phone in my other hand. Let's just quickly, boop, and right there, they're looking at whatever you want them to look at. So that is something to consider. They're also not hard to make, QR codes. If you are very unfamiliar with it, I'm pretty sure all you have to do, one of the easiest ways is to Google QR code generator, and you paste the link of whatever place you're trying to send them, and they're just going to give you the little QR code, and you take it and you put it onto whatever piece you're putting it on. Another thing that you can do with QR codes is tossing it onto property flyers. I'm not sure how prevalent those are nowadays, but I'm sure somebody out there is still putting property flyers out. Again, piece of cake to get whoever you want to that listing page, to that landing page, so that they're not just looking at an old piece of paper. You know, maybe the QR code is going to take them to the photos of the inside of the house. Maybe it has a 3D tour of the house. A lot of possibilities. Another thing that I've seen, I've only seen it on one, but I had this idea probably 3 years ago, and it was to throw a QR code on the actual sign that is in the yard. So therefore, they don't have to get out of their car. If it's on like a busy-ish road, or maybe if it's by like a stoplight where cars are always stopped, if you were to just toss a QR code of that listing somewhere around the sign, it's easy. I think the whole job for anything to work in life, especially now moving forward into the future, we as a society, we kind of need things to be easy, right? If it requires too many clicks, if it requires too many steps and authentications and blah, 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 whatever, the likelihood that people are going to do it and see it through to the end just go down after each step. So this is what's one step. It's pull your phone out and take a photo of it. So I'm not entirely sure of the flexibility with certain yard signs, because, you know, it's like, where would you put it? Do you even have the opportunity to hang it on or around, maybe on top, like where, if you're using one of the wood arms, you could throw it on top where you would put like the for sale or pending or sold, you know, and maybe just like print out a giant 8.5 by 11 sheet with the QR code, slap it in between like some, I don't want to say laminate, but you know, I think you understand what I'm saying. So there's that. Basically, point being that I'm trying to make, while rambling, but also giving you guys very useful information, is if you're not using QR codes, to think about using QR codes. And I'm not asking you to like start using a piece of marketing or advertising just for QR codes. All I'm saying is that whatever pieces you're currently already doing, consider throwing a QR code on there. Just had a phone call there, got very much interrupted train of thought. I have no idea what the heck I was just saying. Right, there we go. Now it's coming back to me. Don't think that you have to create a new piece in order to use QR codes. Whatever you're already doing, slap QR codes on there, and we should be good to go. The next thing that I wanted, and the last thing, I don't want to say it's an opinion piece, but I'm going to give you guys my opinion. How about that? So basically, there was an article that came out about a Keller Williams agent was fired for a conspiratorial, quote unquote, pandemic billboard. Now, I'm not going to be touching too much on what he actually said, but basically, he put up a billboard which was very plain. It's basically just a black background with some white text and an American flag and another cartoon figure, basically with the text reading, "Tired of the pandemic? ? Move to the country. Call or text Chris," and he gives his phone number. So, because of that, he is now out of a job. And Obviously, it's gaining a little bit of traction online, but I think the whole reason that I wanted to talk about this, not obviously, I don't want to talk about what the heck he said. That's not my job to try and tell you what to say, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to say. I think this is just a good time to bring up, as real estate agents. Yes, obviously you are technically an independent contractor. However, you do work for a brokerage. So, yes, you work for yourself, but at the same point in time, you are representing a brand, whichever brand that may be. So, therefore, if maybe say some things or do some things in public facing light that don't align with the company and what they're going for, then yeah, they kind of have grounds to terminate you. But that then brings up the good point of how much, what exactly should you be doing with like where's the line between like your personal beliefs and what you're trying to tell to the public or what you're trying to show to the public. Again, I'm not here to show you that line or tell you where that line is. But and most of you, this doesn't even apply to you. Most of you, I guarantee you keep your personal stuff out of your work stuff, and that's probably smart. Because then that allows you to work with pretty much the entire population, but B, you're not going to have any chances of maybe running into hot water like this gentleman did. Because I mean, if you think about it, and let's just use the political platform. Let's say that you are constantly posting about you're on the Republican side or whatever, and that's like all you post about on Facebook. That's heavily noted as to who you are as an individual. If somebody on the other side, i.e. a Democrat, is a possible customer or client, and they see that, they might and more than likely will get turned off, depending on their views and how much they care about it. So again, not telling you to or to not post something. All I'm saying is that maybe think about exactly what you're posting and saying and what the repercussions of that could be in terms of who exactly you have the opportunity to work for moving forward. Well, that is it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, I will talk to you guys next episode.